They say abandonment is a wound that can never ever be healed. It is a pain which will rise again and again throughout one's life. Parents abandoning children and children abandoning old parents are so commonly seen in this era. The development of the technology and the eagerness to earn money are the only things in the minds of people living these days. Newborn children need both mother and father in their life. If one of them is not with them, it will affect the mentality of the kid so much that even when time passes, the feeling of being abandoned will never ever fade. It is so heartbreaking to hear such stories where poor kids are being abandoned by both the parents. So it is better to have even one of the two parents who can take care and stay by the side of their kids. So today we found a story of a child being left alone with his father by his mother due to some family problems, and finally meeting each other at an unexpected place and time. So before starting today's video, please make sure that you've subscribed to our channel and hit the bell icon to be notified with our latest updates. Elvira was a girl who was brought up with so many luxuries around her. She had everything she needed as a girl expects for what she needed the most. Her mother, Laura, was always busy with her business work at the large automotive company which she owned. She had no time to be with her daughter during both her bad and good days. Elvira was always gifted with all the expensive and luxurious gifts, but she never received pure love from her mother. Elvira's father was not like her mother. He was so close to Elvira, and whenever she needed her parents, her father was the one to show up first. She got all the love, care, and protection she needed as a child only from her father. Her mother not only did mistreat this little girl, but also made all the decisions for her. Not even the father can argue with this overpowered woman. She was really mean to her family. Elvira's mother was the one who made all the decisions regarding the home matters as well as Elvira's future. The father and daughter were powerless in front of the mother's perplexity. But one day, it all changed, pushing their lives to a miserable state. That day, Elvira's mother, Laura, was sitting in the living room while engaging with some serious matters at the company. Elvira was also in a troublesome situation. She loved to learn arts from the beginning, but her mother did not let her. She forced her to study sciences, but now Elvira really wanted to change her majors and start studying filmmaking. She was so much afraid to tell her mother about the decision because her instincts strongly believed that her mother will never give her permission or support her as she wanted her to study automotive engineering. Elvira finally gained courage, went to her mother and said that she really wanted to change her majors to filmmaking as she really loved that industry. Her mother stopped her work and raised her head with shock and enraged eyes. Elvira was waiting for her answer, even though she knew what it will be. Her mother stood up, looked directly into Elvira's eyes, and said, "No, you cannot change your majors. You should study automotive engineering, or else how can you become the next heir of this enormous company? We do not have many kids, we only have you. Therefore, you should somehow fulfill our wishes." Elvira's level of patience, which she built up since she was small, broke into pieces. Thoughts raced through her head, making her feel devastated. For the first time in her life, she spoke for herself against her mother. She raised her voice and said that she somehow needed to start learning filmmaking as she did not want to learn automotive engineering, get to the company, and become a self-centered person like her mother. The argument became louder and louder, that the father, who was downstairs, had to come and settle the dispute. Elvira's father was on her side, and for the first time, he also yelled against Elvira's mother taking her side. The situation at the house became so much tensed where something unexpected happened. With all this pressure and noise, Elvira's father had a sudden heart attack, and before he was hospitalized, he left the world. Elvira was devastated. She could not think about a life without her father. She started to hate herself and her mother, as she thought that the ultimate reason for her father's death was she and her mother. Her life became so much boring and worthless because she was a puppet on the hands of her mother. As per the demand of her mother, she started learning automotive engineering, and after a few years, she graduated with honors. And now, it's the time for the real story to begin. It all started after Laura bought a sudden marriage for her daughter while they were having dinner. She was so shocked to hear her mother say, "Get ready, you need to get married with one of my business friend's son. Both the families are so happy about both of you, and it will be a great chance for both the businesses to settle their rivalries and patch up with each other." She could not think of anything, and she had no strength to argue against her mother, who was trying to use her as some kind of investment. So she stood up from the dining room table and said, "Do whatever you want," and left. The wedding was planned to be held in 3 months' time, where Elvira's mother started to make preparations for the upcoming grand wedding. Elvira was not interested in anything, but she had to make a happy face in front of all the guests and groom's party for the sake of the company. Her mother called many workers to clear things and helped with the decorations. Elvira was so much sick of her fake self. She was selfless and wanted to end everything. She had only two options at hand. One was to kill herself, and the other was to face no matter what life throws at her. She had no energy left to live a painful life, therefore she wanted to commit suicide. She went to the balcony and thought of jumping off. Her state was really unstable, and she wanted to end all these matters quickly. But when she tried to jump, someone came running to her and held her tightly without letting her kill herself. She turned around and saw a man who looks a little bit familiar, but she could not really think of anything because of her state. She cried so hard that the stranger had to stay with her until she felt easy. Then she told the whole story to this man, where he realized how poor she was. This kind heart was a man called Noah, and he was a man who came to help with the house maintenance. He also had a very sad life story, and it is the mystery that we will solve in today's video. Noah lost his mother's love when he was just a baby, in case he was abandoned by his mother. His father worked hard to bring up the little boy. Both of them were very helpful to each other, and they cared about each other a lot. Making the saying, "happiness ends too quick," a truth, this little family of father and son met with a critical situation. Noah's father met with an accident when Noah was only a high school student. His father had to stay hospitalized due to his coma attack, and life became harder for Noah. His father's medicine and hospital charges cost a lot. Therefore, Noah had to work extra hard to earn more money. Even with all these medications, the father did not regain consciousness. Sadly, the money he earned became less efficient when compared to the high expenses of his father's medicine. He could not even cover machine expenses, which his father's life was relying on. So they removed the machine, making Noah and his father separated from this life. He was devastated after the death of his father, and it was one of his aunts that took care of him later. One day, his aunt called Noah and said something secretly. She handed a letter to Noah. "This was given to me by your father, and he asked me to give it to you when you are grown up enough to bear the truth that he never told you." Noah was surprised to hear such a thing and quickly took the letter and read it. After reading, he found the most shocking story about himself, as well as his mother who abandoned him. The letter said that his mother was a high-class lady where she was in love with his father but could not marry due to the social gap between them. But things got worse after knowing she was pregnant with Noah. Her family did not want her to marry his father, therefore they tried to abort the baby, but his mother promised that she will give birth to the baby and leave him to his father. And that's how Noah was abandoned by his mother without her consent. Noah's aunt always said Noah to find his mother, but he did not want to know about someone who abandoned him. At this time, while he was doing his job, he gets to work at the house of Elvira. After making sure Elvira was okay, he left thinking how poor these rich people really are. Soon, Elvira and Noah became friends, but they exchanged their stories about work, day-to-day life, hardships with each other. Their friendship grew day by day, and they met almost every day. But Noah had a bad feeling deep down inside his heart. She always thought about the letters his father left. That letter mentioned that his mother was from a very rich family who did automotive businesses. This phrase always made him upset, and he always thought that Elvira's mother even has the chance to be his mother. It means Elvira and he are siblings, and that's why the feelings of familiarity arise when he was with Elvira. He had to clear these problems before telling it to Elvira. Suddenly, he got the chance to meet the lady at the house one evening. She was looking weary, and Noah got the chance to talk with her at this very time. He first asked, "You okay? Do you need any help?" Where she replied that she was not okay, and she's fed up with this marriage and this life. She also said that even though she is not happy with his marriage, she has to somehow let Elvira marry that businessman because that's how things should happen. "I was married to a man that I didn't love by my father, and the same thing goes with Elvira. She also needs to get married to this man for the sake of our company." Noah was interested in her story because he wanted to find out whether this woman is his mother. Laura then said something which made Noah's whole body shiver. "I loved a simple man before I was married to Elvira's father. We were so happy, but our families did not agree with our relationship. I got pregnant while my parents were planning to hold my wedding with a man whom I didn't know. I wanted to stop the wedding so badly, but they threatened me by telling me that they will kill the child in my womb if I don't agree. I had nothing to do, so I promised them that I will leave the child with the man that I loved after giving birth. 13 years ago, I found where they were living and sent them a letter, but he said that my son didn't want to see me. I did a very bad thing, and I can't let go of my past." Noah was so sad to hear this story, because he knew that the baby was no one except him. He wanted to confirm once, so he asked the woman, "By the way, what was the name of the man you loved?" The woman said, "You don't need to worry. Roberto Liao was his name." Noah confirmed that the abandoned child is him as soon as he heard his father's name. He did not want to stay there anymore, so he excused himself and left the place. Noah could not think of what to do. He went to his aunt's home and took the letter, read it again and again. He saw the letter had the name Laura and confirmed that he had found his mother. He gained all his courage and went to Elvira's house and gave the letter to Laura and said that he was the son whom she abandoned. Laura, after getting to know the son she was looking for years, was working for her 3 months, burst into cries. After an emotional conversation about what happened in Noah's life and his father, Laura said Noah to stay at this home and do anything he likes. She also invited him to work in family business, which Noah refused to do. He said that he wanted to become an actor and he already started to study for it. Then Laura said that she will pay all the remaining expenses from now onwards. Hearing this story, Elvira was half happy, half sad. She now wanted to stay away from all these people and live a peaceful life doing whatever she wanted to do alone. So she took what she inherited from her father's side, bought a nice house, and left her mother and Noah. Jamie, the man whom Elvira was to marry, somehow wanted to form an alliance with his family. So he ended up marrying the widow Laura, Elvira, and Noah's mother. Years passed, and both Elvira and Noah achieved their goals. Noah became an actor and Elvira was a profound filmmaker. With the help of their mother, they lived a happy life, leaving their past behind. So that's the end of today's video, where we brought to you a story of a child being abandoned and later found while he was working as a decorator. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to be notified with our latest updates. See you in our next video.